town of Pembroke, settled in 1650 and incorporated in 1712, is located just 40 minutes southeast of Boston. The earliest European settlers settled in the vicinity of the Herringbrook in 1650. Up until that time, the Wampanoag were the only residents, fishing and farming along the rivers. The area was once part of neighboring Duxbury, before it was made into a separate town in 1712. The name ultimately derived from the Pembroke Wales in England. The name Brookfield was originally proposed, but rejected because it had already been used by the town in Worcester County. This town still bears the name today. The Pembroke Iron Works was a business created in 1720 and was known to have used iron dredging from the bottom of Pembroke's ponds. Ice was cut from the ponds, stored in ice houses, and then used in the summer for keeping food cold. The ponds and streams of Pembroke were also known to provide power for businesses. Because of its proximity to wooded areas and location on the river, the town in its early years was well known for shipbuilding. The North River was the location of 5 shipyards. By the early 20th century, the popularity of the cranberry spurred construction of numerous bogs around Pembroke. By 1924, there were a total of 17 cranberry growers in the town. Since World War II, the town of Pembroke has seen a massive shift that took it from being an agricultural/industrial town to a popular residential area for those wanting to work in the Boston area. Pembroke's current population stands at about 19,473 according to the latest 2015 census. The town remained relatively stable in population from the end of the Civil War until the 1960s, when suburban migration from Boston saw the town more than triple in population. Pembroke now contains 23.48 square miles of land area, and the population density is currently 836 persons per square mile. Today, Pembroke is mostly a suburban community, with the majority of residents working in the greater Boston area. In recent years, Pembroke has developed into a very desirable community, with new home developments geared towards upper-class buyers. Some of Pembroke's oldest buildings and memorials can be found right in the center of town, almost clustered together, preserved well for the community to stop and view or just admire while passing by. The town hall lies next to these clustered history lessons, and the location of all this almost brings the small town together. The police station, fire department, and post office can all also be found a quick drive into downtown Pembroke, providing convenience for all the public and unity amongst the town as a whole. The cemetery and local businesses can also be found here, some of which are Stop and Shop, Ace Hardware, Pembroke Has a Pizza, or P-Hop, and many more. Pembroke's median household or condo income as of 2013 stands at a large $359,900, a $32,700 average increase compared to the whole state of Massachusetts' median of $327,200. So what does Pembroke do for pastime? Most citizens will agree that it all really goes down on the town green. Found directly in the center, it is hard to miss the stage and what used to be grass. From attempting ice rinks to holding Easter egg hunts, art shows, concerts, and much more, Pembroke's go-to place for any and every event is at the town green. However, when the town is nowhere to be found on that patch of dirt in the center, you might find them at the herring run mentioned earlier, attending the annual Grand Old Fish Fry, cooking up some fish, excluding the herring that are actually there. That's strictly forbidden. Despite being a pretty small town, Pembroke has 5 schools, 3 elementary ones split up by area: Bryantville, Hobmock, and North Pembroke. The other 2 ones are the middle school and high school. Pembroke High School has a very strange history compared to most high schools. I was fortunate enough to get an interview with Mr. Hall, a history teacher currently teaching there, that is one of the few teachers that taught through this strangeness, and he explains here what occurred. So how many years have you dealt with the town of Pembroke?
15 years. So this was the first job I ever interviewed for.
Really?
Yeah, when it was Silver Lake, and came here to this building when it was Silver Lake Middle School, and this was my first job right out of college.
So you came straight from Silver Lake to here, like as the school changed?
I went from Stonehill to here when it was Silver Lake, and then when the district split, they needed one more high school teacher than middle school teacher in social studies, so I ended up staying in this building. I moved all of my stuff out,
Wow.
Brought it home for the summer, and then brought it all right back that next year.
How has the population of the town or / school changed over time since you've been?
It's definitely gotten bigger. There's been a lot of building in Pembroke. The one thing I'd say that the housing stock has changed from a lot of smaller houses to a lot of bigger houses, but also the town has built a lot of condos and a lot of like townhouse complexes. So there's definitely been more. There's been like an influx, I'd say, of middle class residents to Pembroke, but the population has definitely gotten bigger.
Can you name any events that were a big deal in the past?
In Pembroke?
Yeah.
Like, how far back are we talking? Like, in the last 15 years, or?
As far back as you've been here or dealt with the town?
I think the biggest one was probably when Pembroke broke away from Silver Lake. That's probably the biggest one in the last 15 years. I mean, the renovation of the high school was a big deal because of the amount of time and money that was spent by the town. When politically, when they passed the Proposition 2.5 override for taxes, that was a big deal too, because they hadn't passed one in a really long time. And it allowed a permanent tax increase that the residents of Pembroke approved, and that was to go to the schools. That was a big surprise that happened, and it happened a year after they put $10 million into the district to replace the roofs of the schools. So those two things, the Prop 2.5 override and the district split, would probably be the two biggest things.
Okay, and how has Pembroke sports changed over the years, if you've seen any?
Well, I would say that when we first broke away from Silver Lake, there was like a struggle to find an identity.
Across all sports?
Across all sports, right? So you go like the first year, like you had kids that had grown up playing together and had even been on the same team the previous year, and then so like as they're juniors, they play on the same team together at Silver Lake, and then they're seniors, they're playing against each other.
Right.
Like in football and hockey and basketball. So that was definitely interesting. And then as time has gone on, you've seen like the identity of the school created, but that's taken a lot of time. The thing I'm amazed about here is the consistency in certain sports.
Like track.
Like track
Yeah.
and hockey and golf. That those teams are just consistently good every single year, and I think a lot of that has to do with consistency in coaching. But there's a lot of talented athletes in the town. Kids.
Hey, you're the golf coach. Has like every year, have you seen it gotten better, or is it kind of like?
It's been pretty level. There were a couple of years where it dipped, but and Mr. Consolati and I coached the team together for 11 years, and then this is the first year that I didn't help him. But it was pretty steady for a while. Like the expectations were really high. You know, kids would come in knowing what the expectations were, and I think that's the way it is for a lot of teams in the school. Like people know that the expectations are high, and they have to work hard in the off season to make teams and participate. And there's a possibility they could get cut and all that stuff. So.
Right. And then last one is, what major changes have you seen just within the high school?
The discipline's definitely changed in the last year with the change in administration. Like, there's not as many kids out walking around. Kids aren't like hanging out in the bathroom or in the hallway like they used to. Kids are really there's a much more accountability.
I'd agree. My freshman year, just a senior year, it's been like completely different.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, no question about that. In the 4 years you guys have been here, it's night and day difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.